Craft beer, I would have to say J. Wakefield El Jefe. Favorite all-time beer, Delirium Tremens from Belgium. Favorite artist, that's a no-brainer, Mobb Deep. Favorite album of all time, that gets a little tougher. Has to be between the Purple Tape, Only Built for Cuban Links, or, and a lot of people may not agree with me on this one, but it was written by Nas. Not Illmatic, it was written. Mofón con chicharrón,
BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast. Yes, we're back with another episode. This is season 2. Thank you for joining us. As always, I am Oldhead Ed. I'm always joined by a guest as well. I got none other than Hernan Rodriguez, Mr. Bureau 5 himself. How we doing, sir?
Doing great. How you doing?
I can't complain, man. I mean, I know we talked a little bit about it before we started recording, about how things are starting to open up a little more. So we're having a little more liberties. You're seeing more, sports on TV. Spots down here are opening up with outdoor dining, so you can kind of get involved again with some of the stuff we did before this whole thing happened in March. And Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, the one that does the grocery shopping for you, Instacart, like these things started to flourish at that point. And you kind of managed to work yourself into an angle some way with that. So tell us about the beer delivery service and how that came to be.
So basically, you're correct. This did come about from the pandemic, and something I did realize is I myself, I use Instacart every once in a while. I use DoorDash every once in a while. Try not to, but for the most part, people were not just quarantined, but they were also afraid to go out and expose themselves to being crowded environments, Publix, Walmart, and whatnot, waiting outside in hot lines. And there's always an opportunity in every type of situation where there's limitations. And how are you going to get that good beer if you can't get to a brewery?
True.
So, Heineken, Corona, all that's cool, but if you want that good quality beer, there really isn't a way of getting it. Now on top of that, with the breweries being closed, you had to pre-order everything. Mm-hmm. So if you're not able to get that pre-order, how are you going to be able to get that beer? And that's where the opportunity came about. Me and a couple of friends were talking, and we gave it a go, gave it a try, and it's working out right now.
Okay, so this is a conglomerate. This is like a collective between you and a couple other people.
Yeah. We got a couple people. I'm mainly the one running it, but it's a collaboration with a few different people.
Dope. You also go outside of the South Florida area to pick up beer runs.
That is correct. So
okay.
we do hit up Tampa, Orlando. We go up the Eastern Seaboard up to West Palm Beach. But we also get the best beers from Atlanta, from Tennessee. And we also go to a brewery called 450 North, which hands down is the most hyped brewery right now in the country.
Really?
That's the supreme of beer. If you don't buy it within the first 3-4 minutes that it releases, forget about it.
There's instances where breweries put something on and it goes fast. It's kind of like sneaker releases or whatnot. So again, it goes back to the motto you guys have, where you're like, we're gonna pre-order for you, because if you can't get out there, or let's say for people even who are are working and don't have the time to get out there to catch a pre-order before it sells out, that's an excellent opportunity to use the service with you. Okay.
Exactly. And what I want to emphasize is we do not sell the beer. We're simply providing a service to where we make it easy for you to get quality beers.
Yeah.
These breweries right now are unfortunately, they're not able to open at regular hours. So if you work a 9 to 5, you're not going to be able to get there to pick up that beer.
Yeah.
And not only that, if you're working 9 to 5, you have kids at home, you have a wife at home, you have parents, grandparents constantly running around. Let us do the work and you enjoy the beer.
So you got two partners, which makes it easy to take the trip. So I imagine that helps when you're traveling up to Orlando or Tampa. So that alleviates all that driving, and then it makes it an experience out of the whole thing too.
Exactly.
Dope. I've used your service. So I just want to let everybody know listening that yes, I have enlisted the help of young Hernan here, and he delivered 4 beers to the homie Agony. Shouts to Agony. He made an episode possible, really, because saved me the trip down south, way down south, to get these beers to one of my future guests. He got the beers, and then we got a chance to record over the phone, so that was dope. I appreciate that. At what moment do you feel like the thought hit you? Like, were you in the middle of having a beer and then you thought about it, or?
Well, the thing is this. So I've been in the sneaker game for years, and that's actually my main business is Silver and Stock. We do sneaker releases, pre-sales, and all that. So it's the similar concepts. At the end of the day, and this is my recommendation for anybody who wants to open a business or wants to be an entrepreneur. If you enjoy something, you have to monetize that. Not necessarily saying that it's not being greedy or anything, but if you enjoy doing something, that's what you should be doing for a living.
Gotcha.
And I enjoy drinking beer. I'm not saying I'm an alcoholic, but responsibly, I enjoy drinking beer. And I figured I have a hard time getting some of these beers, so why not make it easier not only for myself, but for somebody else to be able to enjoy it without having to go through all the hurdles and the obstacles of getting, quality craft beer.
Yeah, got you. Yeah, no, definitely. So sneakers. So that's the thing. All right, when did you start with sneakers?
2013.
Okay. What was the first pair that kind of got your attention where you're like, yo, I gotta get these?
Well, I mean, Space Jam 11s have always been my favorite shoe.
Okay.
Concord 11s. A lot of Jordan releases, but I'm really more of a Nike guy in general. I don't stick to just one type of shoe, but it goes along the same way. I remember, again, back in 2012, 2013, the Concords came out, the re-release, and nobody could get them. It was really hard to get them, and I've always been into sneakers, and people used to always constantly, hey, can you get me this pair? Can you find me that pair? Can you get me this pair? I've been buying shoes for so long, you build connections, and again, if you're into something, you gotta figure out a way to make it something that you could eventually profit and live off of.
Yeah, you get
similar to this podcast. You're into beers, you're into beats, and you're into foods.
Yeah.
Why not talk about it and
and see what comes.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so you have to do that, especially nowadays where everything's going digital. It's so easy for you to just pick up your phone and take that first step into starting a business or a hobby that could eventually turn into something.
Yeah, you're not lying. There's a lot of resources out there. I mean, the way that this came across, I know I've talked with previous guests who were musicians, producers, and so on and so forth, and we always touched on the topic of how things were when they first started out and how things are now, and just the ease of being able to do things now as opposed to when they started early, which, I mean, back then, regardless of what, like you said, hurdles or anything, you did it because that was your passion.
Exactly.
But now, when you have this technology available to you, where it makes it that easier, it's like, why not do it now? Like, This is when you should jump on it. No, for sure. Sneakers. I'm not a big sneaker person at all. Like, I rock Adidas. And
Adidas are cool.
But they're not the coolest Adidas. Like I'm not up on I don't own a pair of Yeezys, and I think that's the big draw for Adidas right now is
Definitely,
the Yeezys.
yes.
But I don't own a pair of those. I've gotten I have a pair of NMDs. Mine's are like my sneakers, the Superstar. I do have a pair of Boosts, for workout. It's just they're real comfortable. Mm-hmm. So like I've heard of the term Concords. I've heard of the term like Concrete 4s. Okay. But as far as Jordans, I know that Jordans, the Jumpman's a different. It's under the Nike umbrella, but it's not quite Nike.
Correct.
Break that down for me. Like, how does that happen?
So, how can you explain that? So it's basically like a company within a company.
Okay.
So Nike was always Nike, and then they needed to expand. Adidas was always king. And Phil Knight was struggling to take out Adidas. So Adidas was always getting all the premier athletes. Gotcha. In whether it be basketball, tennis, track. They're getting the premier athletes, and Nike slowly started chipping away. What happened was around 83, 84, and Nike hit a wall. They pretty much peaked, and they needed to go over the hump to take out Adidas. How do you do that? You need to get a premier athlete. So if I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong with the story, but I believe Adidas was chasing the number 1 pick, Sam Bowie.
That ended up in Portland.
Exactly. Michael Jordan was the number 3 pick, but Michael Jordan was who Phil Knight has his eye on ever since he was a freshman. Hit that game-winning shot with North Carolina to defeat Georgetown for the championship. And ever since then, that's who we wanted. And they kept instilling the family values that Nike has to the Jordan family. So they were pitching to his parents, not just Michael Jordan.
Gotcha.
So at the end of the day, the way I guess they closed that deal was that they told Jordan that he would be a Nike athlete, but they were so confident behind him that they told him the first year the shoe would have a swoosh, but by the second, third model, you're gonna have your own logo, your own line, and it's gonna be Nike Air Jordan, not just Nike. Gotcha. Whereas if you go with Adidas, what's Adidas gonna do for you? You're just gonna be another one of a ton of athletes under Adidas.
Wow.
So now that gave Nike a premier track athlete, which at the time I can't remember his name. And now you got Michael Jordan, who turns out to be a phenom. And now you have the number 1 name in the industry. And of course, they told him that they would make the Air Jordan brand his own brand.
Wow.
Now he doesn't own it, but that's his own brand within Nike.
Got you.
So it's 2 separate things.
Dope. Okay. Do you recall when because I remember one of the original logos there was on the Jordan was the basketball with the wings, wasn't it?
Correct, yeah.
When did that go away? Like I don't know.
I believe that went away with the Jordan 3. So the Jordan 1 had it. The Jordan 2s had it. The Jordan 3, I believe, was the first one. It was just a Jumpman logo.
Just the Jumpman.
Yeah.
Dope.
And then on the heel tab on the back, I had the Nike Air, but the tongue and everything had the Jumpman.
Dope. What was the sneaker of choice that you were rocking in school? Now I would be remiss to say you're fellow de lo mío. You're Dominican. And I mean, me being from immigrant parents when I was young, like the sneakers was the hard thing to get from your parents.
It definitely was. So funny thing is that I did have Jordans, but they're always from the year before. Yes. So if the 13s were out, we got the 12s on clearance.
Yes.
If the 12s are out, we got the 11s on clearance. But no, mostly, I mean, it came from humble beginnings. So Air Force Ones until they broke down. I remember the first signature sneaker I had was the Allen Iverson Questions.
Okay.
I had to work for 2 weeks in the summer with my mom cleaning toilets so I could buy them. Yeah. But that's my very first shoe that I had in school that I was like, they're out this year.
You felt comfortable. Yeah, like, yo, I'm proud of these.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's wild. It's wild because, again, you find yourself that the sneakers, shoes in general, like, I don't know, man. It's wild how they tell us here to walk around and look up, but in school, everybody just looks down, and that's the first thing that captivates you is like that person's sneakers, like the first thing you noticed. And granted, like I said, man, it took me a while to get a first pair of like you said, fresh sneakers that I would be proud to rock. I mean, I had a pair of Cortez that were hand-me-downs.
Exactly.
You know, Nikes. I had, I think there was a pair of Adidas in there somewhere. I can't remember which style they were, but those were also hand-me-downs. And then, you know, of course you hit middle school, and that's when everybody has an opinion on what it is that you're wearing.
Exactly.
And so you come across kids in class that might be able to afford sneakers, and the other ones can't. And then you get the whole, man, why are you wearing those?
Exactly.
Before one of those,
Yep.
It was kind of like, yo. You know, you get, they diss you, you're snapping on you over your sneakers. So
I remember it was so bad that I used to have a friend named Mike Martino. He used to skip school to get the Jordans the morning he came out and get to school by like third, fourth period with them on.
Yo, that's wild.
I'm gonna be the first one with them, even if I get in trouble.
Just for the claim, to be able to claim it. Like,
once you claim that, you're the first one in school.
Nobody can say
the king.
Damn. Damn. And also going back to the Dominican thing, coming back from a country where my mom tells me as a youth there was a lot of kids, and I'm sure including her, aunts and uncles that I have, and just kids in the neighborhood, is like having shoes was like, that was a privilege. Because people you'd have shoes, you'd have sandals and whatnot, but the nice shoes, I mean, they would rather walk barefoot, holding on to their nice shoes than to wear them because they wanted them to last. Like you said, those Air Force Ones, like you try to make them last as long as possible.
Of course.
You didn't know when you was going to be able to get another pair. So 2 weeks cleaning toilets, you got the Allen Iversons, the AIs, and you rock those. And then when you walk in there, I mean, I imagine like anything else, you walk into class rocking something like that, you feel like, yes, I've
It's not even like you're walking. It's like if you're floating in there with the glow on you.
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, man. I'm glad some things don't change, despite the fact that now our kids experiencing a whole other level when it comes to school. So I don't think sneakers matter that much when you're in a Zoom
Which
classroom.
I'm kind of happy because I feel like things are getting really materialized, especially with kids being addicted to social media.
Yeah.
So I feel like this whole thing, actually, you see more kids outside now.
Yes, it's
you
true.
see them interacting more. So there's always a silver lining to every bad situation, and I think that's one of them.
It's true. It's true. No doubt, man. No doubt. Then you find yourself further down the line with the sneakers where you're at now. People are reaching out to you. Yo, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. You still do that now?
Correct.
How does that happen? Like somebody reaches out to you?
So basically, I mean, I have a website with active products. So we carry everything from the exclusive shoes like the Yeezys, like you said, hard to get Jordans, but we also focus on having affordable footwear. So we have a lot of Air Maxes, all types of different styles of shoes, so that you don't have to spend $200-$300 to look good or for you to feel good. An $80-$90 pair of Air Maxes or Air Forces, that's just as good. And some people feel like you have to have that super expensive pair of shoes, when at the end of the day, if you know how to wear something and make it look good, that's all that matters. And to me, the beautiful thing about the sneaker game is it's what you like.
Gotcha.
Is what you should wear.
Yeah.
Some people feel like you only look good when you wear what everybody else wants, but like you said, you love Superstars. That's an original classic shoe. That's never gonna go out of style.
Yeah.
And if that's what you like, that's what you should be wearing.
Yeah. Instead of trying to kind of conform to the narrative.
Exactly. That's what you call a hype beast.
Oh, okay. I've heard the term before.
A hype beast is someone that is simply trying to be seen wearing what everybody wants. Oh, the Yeezys are in style right now. I have to have Yeezys. Oh, Jordan 1s are in style now. I have to have Jordan 1s.
And then they buy them. I imagine they buy them in bulk, like different kind of colors.
Or they'll pay whatever price just so they say that they have them.
Yeah.
Whereas a true sneakerhead be, well, I like those Air Max 90s that are sitting in Foot Locker on sale. I'm gonna wear that.
What would you say is the best part of the sneaker game?
Best part of the sneaker game for me, I mean, besides networking and meeting other people, is just like it's a true passion of mine, the sneaker game.
Okay.
Along with like streetwear and all that. So like getting a shoe that you really want, we actually get it. It brings you happiness.
Yeah. I recently heard. I'm familiar with the mayor.
Flea the mayor. Yeah. He's getting rid of his collection.
That's what I was going to ask you about that. So it's
the end of an era.
That's like a sharp turn left. Like, I don't know if a lot of people would have not predicted, but it would have seen that coming. I guess that's the same thing as
I think eventually when you have a collection that big, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like back in the day, baseball cards were big. There's people that had huge collections, and eventually down the road,
you get rid of most of them. You try to keep the gems.
Exactly.
And you get rid of most of them.
Exactly.
You get whatever you can for them at that time frame. Yeah, I guess if you're around them long enough, you could tell what should go now and what you should hold on to.
Exactly. I have that problem. There was one point where I had like 300 sneakers in my personal collection, and the value is enough on them to where you're like, okay, well, I'm never gonna wear some of these shoes.
Yeah.
I'm either gonna sell them to somebody I know that's really gonna enjoy them, or hey, you can use that money for the next move in whatever you're working on.
I just thought of a funny sneaker anecdote that is not my own, but I'm going to share it. Shouts to Dino. My people's up in Connecticut, big sneakerhead, and he never wears the same pair of socks twice. Have you ever heard of something like that? Yeah. That's common?
I know people like that. I also know people that never wear the same white tee twice.
Wow.
Same thing. The socks I don't get. I mean, you can wash socks. They're inside your shoes.
Yeah.
Not even see them. If you got a hole in them, toss them. But I've never understood the socks. The shirts are, you wash them, they might shrink, wrinkle, it may not look as white.
But no, because you wash the sock. It doesn't matter if it goes back in the shoe
again. I've never understood
that.
I know people are like that. I've never understood it.
All right, yo, Dino, next time we talk, man, you're gonna have to break that down for me.
Break it down for us, Dino.
For real.
What's the science behind the clean socks?
Behind the clean socks, the rotation, like a new pair every time you go to put one on, though.
The kind just doesn't feel right.
You kind of don't feel the same way in the sneaker. No, and let me know which brand you buy so that way I can invest in stock. So we can make some money off the side, Yo, Hernan, yeah, man, we talked it up. Again, give them where they can find you as far as the sneakers. Let them know where they can find you as far as the beer delivery, and we'll get into this next segment.
So for the beers, I'm on Instagram, Beer05. Just say 305, but Beer05. The shoes, my IG name is Silver in Stock. So it's a little long. We can spell it out after for you.
Or I'll put it in the description notes. You guys click on the link and it'll take you right there. Definitely. And then I'm going to have to talk to you about sneakers because I'm going to have you evaluate my sneaker game. You let me know where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
Dope. So y'all know what it is. It's BrewsBeats&Eats. I got Hernan with me. And then, yeah, man, we got to know him a little bit and we're going to get into these beers quick. So you guys stay tuned.
Big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer. Beer, 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 beer. Big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer, big beer, little beer. Beer, 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 beer.
BrewsBeats&Eats, the podcast, and we're back. We're in the brews section, and for this section, I've got another great guest for this section. Even more so because not just because they like beer, they enjoy sampling beers, but they're involved with beers. They'll bring beers to your crib. They're beer delivery. They travel to go pick up beers, just so you don't have to do all the legwork. For those who are here for the first time, thank you. Welcome to the show. What we do in this segment is we have 4 different beers. The guest samples beers. I will be sampling beers, and we'll get the guest's opinion on them, what he thinks of them. Hernan came through with several of the selection here, so I think I'm going to be sharing more opinions because I've only had one out of the 4. So, but nonetheless, we'll run it down, what we're drinking, where you could find it, or if you keep up with Hernan, when he has it and when he can deliver it. And then we'll give you our thoughts on them 1 through 4 at the end. You down for that?
I'm down.
Dope. All right, so the first one we're going to jump on is from the Three Sons Brewing Company. It's their Antique Alley. Okay, that one. I should have poured yours first. I'm a foul host. Well, actually, no, you know what? That'll be yours.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And then I'll get into this one right here. Have you had this one before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, let's just go right into it, man.
Cheers.
Salud. Yes, sir.
Good stuff.
All right, so like I said, that's from Three Sons Brewing Company. It's their Antique Alley. It's their red ale, an American amber. Clocks in at a 5.4, and is brewed right here in Florida. You've had this one before.
I have.
Have your thoughts changed on it? You still feel the same way about it? Tastes
so
good?
I feel like this is one of the better ambers I've actually drank. I recommend this beer a lot, especially this is great for somebody that isn't really into the craft beer scene, but likes drinking, darker lagers, like Modelos, things of that nature.
Gotcha.
So they're refreshing, they're not high on alcohol content, and they go down very smooth, which is what I like about this one. It gives you like that malty taste,
gotcha.
But nothing's overpowering about it.
Yeah. It doesn't have too much of a presence where it's like it overwhelms you.
So these beers, you want to pair them with maybe like chicken wings, burgers. It's a good pairing beer.
Got you. Because it doesn't overdo the taste of the food.
It actually adds to it.
Okay, it opens it up. It opens it up. Dope. You mentioned malty, and growing up Hispanic, you drink Malta.
Exactly.
All right. This is where I typically ask my guests about their first beer encounter, their earliest beer memory. #EBM. And Malta for all of us was like a staple. They call it La Cervecita.
La Cervecita,
but there's no alcohol in it.
Yep.
So, what was your first beer? And like, can you draw a parallel between La Malta and then the first beer you had?
So, my dad used to always tell me that you're going to drink Malta until you're old enough to drink beer. And then he kicked the Malta to the curb.
Got you.
But my first beer experience, I can't tell you what it tastes like, but I was probably like 5-6 years old. My grandfather used to love drinking Budweiser. He loved fooling around, and I wanted to see what it tasted like. It was a glimpse into the future. So I don't know what it tasted like. My first beer drinking experience I could remember was probably like 14, 15. And of course, presidentes are always present in the household.
Yeah.
And, that's where my beer drinking started.
Gotcha.
Drank one, I'm like, this is nasty. Tastes like crap. I'm never drinking beer ever in my life. And then a couple weeks later, I wanted to look cool. I drank one again. I'm like, okay, this isn't that bad.
Yeah.
And that's where it started. Presidente, vestida de novia.
Yeah, that's right. For those who don't know, vestida de novia is they're so cold that when you pull them out of the cooler, the freezer, they've got that ash. It's just coated in this, like they're dressed for a wedding or they're dressed as the bride.
Yep, nice. Exactly.
Yeah. So you know that before you get to the bottom, you're gonna maintain at least a temperature that's it doesn't get to room temperature by the time you finish it.
Correct.
Yeah, dope. Yeah, typical staple Dominican.
That's facts.
Yeah.
Any Dominican will tell you start with presidente.
Yeah. Do you believe that there's a difference between the ones made over there? All right.
Oh yes.
I've had a discussion.
Difference.
I've had a discussion, but I haven't been able to quite put it in details as to what it is.
So my theory is the U.S. version is watered down.
Okay.
There's clearly different government restrictions as far as how food is made in our country and other countries, how beer is processed in our country and other countries. There's certain limitations. The ones in the Dominican Republic have a higher alcohol percentage.
Gotcha.
So the ones here don't, which I believe that's where you lose some of the flavor because it does get a little bit watered down.
Yeah. Okay. Dope.
That's my theory. Not sure if it's true, but I can tell you that the ones from over there, especially if you get a jumbo, they do not taste the same as
the jumbo. I never heard of the jumbo. Jumbo's what? Oh, that's the tall bottle.
Yeah, it's
the tall
a liter.
Bottle. I got you.
That's what they drink out there is a liter.
Yeah. Dope. No, and with something that size, you definitely want it vestida de novia because it's gonna be around a little longer. You want to keep the temperature right on them.
Exactly.
Dope. All right, you want to get into this next one?
Let's go.
Or you want to finish this one? I mean, we can throw this one down.
This one's good. We can finish it.
Okay.
What was your first beer moment?
Oh snap! Role reversal. Okay, first beer moment was the earliest beer memory. It was down here in South Florida, Hollandale Beach. We was with the family. I think at that point in time we were visiting, because I'm originally from New York.
Okay.
And then, and when I came down to visit family, we went to the beach. Hollover was the thing. Did I say Hollandale a second ago?
Yeah.
I did? My bad. Hollover.
But you said you was visiting, so you get a pass.
Yeah.
You get a pass.
Exactly, yeah. But I've been here long enough. I should know the difference between Hollandale and Hollover.
They start with an H, so...
You know what I'm thinking is, before I keep going, I'm impressed at the fact that I've made a mistake on the podcast and I caught it before I went into editing. Like typically I'll say something while we're recording, and then later on I listen to it back and I'm like, what the? That's not what I meant to say. So
you just hit veteran status in the podcast game.
Yes.
New levels.
What? Yeah. Achievement unlocked.
Yep.
Yeah. Peep this. So going back to the story, it was Hollover. We go down to Hollover, have a barbecue out there on the beach, hit the water. Long day out there. We're getting ready to leave now. For those of you who are familiar with Hollover, the parking lot's on one side of A1A, the beach is on the other, and there's a tunnel that goes under the road to get you from back and forth. So we're leaving, we're under the tunnel, we get out to the side, and it's been a long day on the beach. Had been hours since we had eaten or drank something. We were out in the water, sweating, dehydrating, and I get real thirsty all of a sudden. And we get back to there's the cars, and I'm sitting there going, man, I'm really thirsty. As a little kid, as a young kid, I start complaining about I'm thirsty, but there's nothing to drink. Like soda's gone, water's gone, but I'm thirsty. And I forgot who it was that I asked. It was somebody, either uncle or maybe it was my pops. I don't remember who it was, or maybe a friend of the family. And they're like, "Oh, you're thirsty here," and they hand me this can. I don't remember if it was already open or I cracked it open myself, but I was that thirsty that I didn't even like take into consideration what it was that I was gonna drink. Crack it open. I take a big swig of it, and I powered it down because I was just so I wanted to clear my throat. I was so thirsty. But shortly after I got, I was relieved of that initial thirst. Then the flavor kicked in. Like I had enough time to focus. Like my attention went from the thirst to the flavor, and I was like, "Oh, like what is this? Yeah, this is bad." So that's where it stopped there. So that would be my earliest beer memory. You know?
That's dope.
That's my earliest beer memory. You learn things every day over here at the podcast. Yeah, that was early on. And then of course, like you said, 14, 15 years old, maybe a little later. I don't know if my mom's listening or not, but eventually down the way, you know, we've said it plenty of times on the podcast. Guests have said it. You find your spot where they sell you the beer before you're old enough. You pull up to those places, and and you stock up. You're with your friends. You got nothing better to do. You go outdoors and have a couple quarts, because down here in South Florida they don't sell 40 ounces. It's all quarts.
Yep.
And man, that's what we would do between quarts of there was a Schlitz, is Blue Bull. They had Blue Bull. They had the small Mickeys.
Oh yeah, those days.
The Schlitz. Yeah, a little bit of everything. So yeah, man, whatever was cheap, that was it. But yeah, man, that was my earliest beer memory. So a long time ago. Long time
brings
ago.
you back though.
Yeah, and then of course it's like you said, house parties. If your homeboy calls you, hey, so and so's having a house party, you pull up to a friend from high school, and her family or his family's all having a gathering. And Hispanics is once we get going, you know how it is that people show up and you're like, it's like them forever.
Yep.
Yeah, come in, and you've never met them a day in your life.
De lo mío, ese de lo mío.
De lo mío,
De lo mío, ven pa' acá.
They just want somebody to drink
Exactly,
alongside them. Like, you're gonna come and drink with me. So you sit there and you find a Heineken or a Presidente comes your way and you drink it. Oh, I do want to say, and this is a lot about me right now, but I think one of the other first memories I had was La Llave, the Becks. I was at my cousin's house, and we were trying to be on some old, like, yeah, let's drink a beer, me and my cousin, and they kept Becks in the refrigerator, which we call La Llave, and I tasted that and I was like, yo, this is horrible. Like, it brought me back to Haulover Park. So it took a while for me, like anybody else, it took a while to develop the taste for it.
Yeah, so fun fact, Dominicans in New York drink Becks and Coors because it's cheaper.
Yeah. That's it. It hits the pocket.
Right. You go get like a 12-pack for like $10.
And then you got to drink it before you get home.
Yep.
That's why people be hanging outside. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to pull up the bodega, I get a 12-pack, and I'm just, when I finish, then I'll go home. And then, card games break out, it's crazy. And why? So, this next one we're going to get into. I'm going to let you do the honors there. Crack that one open. And the next one we're going to get into is from Tripping Animals. And Beer Advocate is tripping because they have no details on it. So let's go to Untapped.
I mean, tripping for tripping.
Tripping for tripping. All right, so this next one is it's from Tripping Animals Brewing Company. It is the Tyrannosaurus. It's a sour, fruited Berliner Weiss. And where is my ABV? 6%. 6% ABV, brewed here in Florida. This is one of the beers that Hernan brought through. One of the beers you could find on Bureau 5 for a limited time, typically. What's the rotation like? Like, do they often make some of these beers? Or? So
a lot of these beers are one-time pretty much projects. So for example, this Tyrannosaurus was part of their Gummisaurus series. So they released a Stegosaurus, Brontosaurus, Tyrannosaurus, and Stegosaurus.
Okay.
So they're actually made using gummy bears.
Really?
So it gives us. So they're sour, but. And you told me you're just getting to sours.
Yes.
So I'm just getting to sours also. I'm pretty familiar with them, but I don't like them when they're too sour. So the good thing about this beer is that, yes, they use gummy bears to offset some of the sourness, but it also has marshmallows that add sweetness to it. It has vanilla, lactose that add sweetness to it. And then you got your blackberries and blackcurrant that give it the sourness.
Gotcha.
So this one, I would say they probably had in stock for maybe a week before it sold out.
Oh, damn.
And we've actually, we were blessed to get a decent amount of it. So we still have a limited amount, but with Tripping Animals, their beers maybe last us a week and a half before they're gone.
Damn. High demand for them.
High demand and low quantity.
Okay. Yeah. Which creates the demand for them.
Correct. And the reason why is because they're using a lot of creativity when making these beers, so they're constantly changing ingredients. So it doesn't really make sense for them to keep these beers on tap for a long time because they're already working on something else by the time it's released. Yeah,
that's amazing how there's breweries that are dropping releases on a weekly basis. And the fact that they're big enough where they could kind of keep that rotation going and not break their stride. That's amazing to me. So let's try this one out. Yeah, I can tell by the smell. I'm gonna like this.
Let's see.
Shouts to Angels in the Hot Fields. Check him out on IG. He's the one that put me on to sours. And we started off with Gulfstream's Berry Bombs.
Nice.
And I was like,
that's a good start.
I was like, yeah, that's
a good start. Again, these are beers that you want to enjoy. It's not something that you're gonna take to a house party and just kill them all with party. This is something where I want something that's fruity, tasteful, and I can just sip on and enjoy, watch the playoffs, or hang out on the beach and just sip on the beer.
Yeah. This is definitely not the beer that you're gonna. Like you said,
you will not be chugging this.
Yeah, you want to enjoy this. You don't. Your objective with this beer is not to get hammered, like slamming them down, throwing them back like that. You're still gonna catch a feeling off of these, but you're gonna pace yourself because you're gonna, with as many ingredients as we've discussed that are in it, you want to kind of like appreciate that. You want to see if you could taste those notes, and you do. You do. This is pretty good.
Exactly. So, like, for example, this one, the blackberry and the blackcurrant hits you right off the bat. But then you start seeing the marshmallow kick in, smooth it out, and the smooth vanilla taste on the way down.
Yeah, no, this is dope. This is a good one here. I like this one. And it's funny because I know I talked to you about going to World of Beer on frequently back in the days, almost a weekly basis. And there was times where my whole goal is like, yo, I'm gonna try one at least once. I'll try each beer at least once.
Yep.
And it's great in World of Beer because they give you, any brewery though can give you a taster, a sample of the beer before you make your decision. But there was times where at World of Beer, they're like, oh, this is a sour. And I was always hesitant because I've had some sours where like you said, it was like, yo, this is just sour. Like, this is just like, it's just for
biting into a lemon.
Yeah, it's just tart as hell, and it's not. And then when I didn't realize that there was some that had more of. It was a little more complex. It wasn't just sour. It'd give you a little bit of sweet just to cut it a little, but you still had the tartness, but it wasn't kind of like key lime pie.
Correct.
I'm not a big fan of key lime pie, but people like it. But I imagine it's something that has tart, but it's not something you're eating going, oh, this is horrible. It's like,
exactly.
Fuck. Dope. Okay.
So me personally, in my palate, I don't like super sour beers. I like fruited sour beers because the fruits give you a natural sourness, but you're getting that sweetness too. Yeah. You're getting a balance.
Nice. We're all about balance on this podcast. Yep. Definitely. So this next one that we're gonna get into here is it's from Southern Grist, another one I haven't had before. And this one's from where?
So we're going out of state right now.
Okay.
We're going to Tennessee, to Nashville.
Okay. Shouts to Tennessee, for sure. And this is Southern Grist, and this is their 2 trains.
Correct. So they have a train series, and with this beer, they decided to reach out to 2 chains. Now, he didn't officially co-sign it. Okay. But he does have some loose involvement to it, which is why you see the 2 chain design.
And then the jacket.
Exactly, the jacket that he usually wears when he performs.
Got you.
So they kind of did it in his honor with his co-sign. Yeah, go ahead and do it. And it's a sour with blackberry. It has a few different characters in here,
Hold on a second. This is the part where I'm supposed to do my.
My apologies.
No, it's good. I'm letting you run the show, and I'm like, wait, that's
your job.
Why am I putting all the work on him? He has to tell me his story. No, but yeah. So it's an Imperial Gose style sour ale brewed with coriander, sea salt, and blackberry puree. Clocks in at an 8%. So we're moving up. We're moving on up like the Jeffersons here.
Moving on up.
Yep. So let's get into this one. Okay. Similar. Oh wait, no. Oh damn. I'm still. Yes. This is how you successfully run a podcast. You don't finish the last beer you're tasting, and then you go to drink.
I take blame for it though. I pour you another cup.
That's what it was. Yo, switcheroo on me. Hold on a second. So I'm still off of the Tyrannosaurus. Let me finish this up.
Throw some respect on the host. He was not babysitting the beer. His guest jumped the gun and poured him another cup.
Yeah.
Good times though. Good times.
No, I appreciate it, man. That Tyrannosaurus is nice.
So you see this one's a little darker?
Oh yeah. Definitely has a thicker color or a complexion.
So on this one, you should taste the fruits a little more.
Okay.
It doesn't have the marshmallows or vanilla to hide it.
Bro, off the top, just the fragrance. It's probably one of the strongest fragrances that I've smelled in other words, you don't smell beer at all.
No.
Like typically beer has this odor, but this one you don't, because the blackberry is definitely there, the puree, Yeah, I don't know what coriander smells like, so I can't tell you that I can smell it, but it's
I've never had coriander in my hand to smell it either, but...
All right, let's give this one a go, yo. Got a little bit of ASMR there. Go back to that one. Okay. What do you think? You've had this one before. What are your thoughts on it?
So, you taste the fruits a little more than the one we had before, the Tyrannosaurus, because of the ingredients, but I find it's a good beer.
Okay.
It's not overly sour, it's balanced. You taste the fruits a little more, so it has a little more character to it.
Yeah.
So this one is... Some people compare it more to like drinking... You're getting close to say a wine at that point.
Got you.
Where you really taste the fruits.
Yeah, that's my... That kind of image mirrors my takeaway from it. Besides the burps. Very unprofessional of me, but welcome to BrewsBeats&Eats. Definitely the texture, way different from the Tyrannosaurus. And this one, you really taste the fruit. And it's not just fruit that's been kind of like doctored to be sweet. Like you could tell you could taste like the earthiness of the fruit, or I don't know.
No, you're correct. It's a natural extract. It's not tampered with.
Yes.
There's no sugar added to it or anything else.
Yeah. Not the biggest fan of this one. Because just the thickness, the heaviness of it.
Yeah.
It's like, this is definitely... If I was going to take my time with the Tyrannosaurus, which is what I would do, like this one I would even take longer with.
Yeah.
Like I would kind of just let it ride. It wouldn't be something...
It's thicker.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely not something for anybody who's into this. I wouldn't recommend starting off here if you plan on doing a couple other things, because then I think this will knock out everything else afterwards that you drink, in my opinion. But overall, it's still not the sour. It's still not the sour that most people come to think of when you think sour. Because it does mellow out though. But it does feel like you do get that heavy. The ingredients really shine on this one.
No, yeah, it's definitely a heavier beer. Mm-hmm. Something you would drink a little slower, actually.
Yeah. What are you drinking nowadays?
So right now, actually, we spoke earlier. I not just got into sours, but now I'm really expanding into sours.
Got you.
So I've been focused more on that, just to gain more knowledge as to different varieties of sours.
Yeah.
Because you got Berliner Weiss sours, you got sour ales, you have Ghosts or Ghosts.
Gose. We call them Gose because we know Jose's in the neighborhood.
Gose. All right. So you got different types of sours. Like even within the sours, there's different varieties.
Yeah.
And kind of like off topic, that's another reason why we started Beer 05 is we also want to educate people as to what craft beer is.
Dope.
There's a big misconception that beer is trashy or cheap, or it's something that all you drink is pilsners and golden ales like Heineken, Corona, Coors, Modelo. Those beers are good. They serve their purposes, but there's different palates that you get into and different types of beers. And not only that, once you start learning your beers, you really learn how to pair them with your food.
Got you.
And some people believe that wine is the best liquor to pair with food when it's actually beer.
Okay.
So a good beer pairing with food will actually amplify your food taste.
It enhances the
flavor.
flavor.
So for example, you go to a bar and you order some hot wings, and you order a nice Pilsner or an IPA preferably. It's gonna kick the spice of that wing up a notch.
Got you. Yeah, it'll open it up a little bit.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it goes like that with every type of beer. There's a pairing for it. Like for example, if you start going to stouts, you want to buy yourself some chocolates or some berries or some nice desserts to pair with that stout.
Gotcha.
And it's just gonna amplify the taste even more.
And I imagine that's why most breweries right away kind of lean towards, like you said, coffees, chocolates. When it comes to making stouts,
correct,
they lean towards that way because they understand that that kind of like what they have in common with the stouts. Yeah, that's
correct.
dope.
So that's something we want to focus on too, is educating people as to what beers they may like, what beers they want to pair with certain foods. That's all going to come down the road. So there's also an educational purpose behind it too, because craft beer right now is in the same place where wine was in the early 90s.
Okay.
In the early 90s, wine wasn't available everywhere because people felt wine was very snobby.
Gotcha.
They felt like, oh, you gotta be rich to drink wine.
Yeah, so there's no demand, you wouldn't find it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas you don't have to be rich to drink wine. You can go buy a $20 wine at Total Wine that tastes the same as a $60 wine.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't know that unless you start doing research and educating yourself. And that's why there's now like wine enthusiast magazines, all types of different wine products for you to like learn about wine.
Yeah.
Is because now people are more accepting about wine.
Yeah.
But
it's funny you say that, bro, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's funny you say that because for the longest time, and I want to say even before the 90s, like I'd say, I wasn't born in the 60s, but 70s, 80s, you would hear about, you'd always hear like an insult was, oh, that's a wino.
Yep.
Like, remember the wino was the hobo, the bum that was sitting there and just drinking wine. So it kind of would paint a negative picture on someone who drank, but it's because I'm sure it wasn't even quality wine at then. You know, it was like your Thunderbirds or your Night Trains, like your corner store wines. But just pumping out like terminology like that in the sense of like demeaning or degrading someone who drinks wine. Oh, that's a wino. It puts a negative connotation on it, and I could see for a while why people were like, I'm not gonna drink wine. It's like, I'm not an alcoholic.
Exactly.
I'm not a wino. You know. Yeah,
so they put it back to you, either you're a wino or you're snobby. And the same thing goes for beer.
Yeah.
You know, everyone thinks of beer, you think of bum drinking a 40 ounce on the corner.
Yeah, in a brown
exactly, or you think of Chad in the trailer park pounding Natty Ice.
Yeah.
But you have all these craft beers that offer you all these different palates, and you know, that's why the craft beer scene is growing so fast, is because now people are starting to realize, hey, you could drink beer and you can enjoy it.
Yeah, they're opening their eyes to it.
It doesn't have to be the same 4 or 5 beers that you see at every supermarket.
Yeah. And even speaking of supermarkets, now supermarkets are incorporating a lot of the beers that were not there 8-10 years ago.
Exactly.
You know, now you're starting to see more of the Wicked Weeds or Goose Island, or which is it's farther away from your typical like we've been discussing the whole time, the Heinekens, the Coronas, the Modelos. So that's an interesting.
That's definitely fact.
I find myself spending a lot more time in that aisle. Even if I don't buy anything in the beer aisle, I'll be at Publix and I'll be standing there just looking at the fridge.
Yeah.
Looking at well, they got this here. What's new? What's different?
And another thing that the craft beer scene is taking from wine is the can art. So if you see a bottle of wine, you usually see some type of art behind it.
Yeah.
The art attracts the people. You look at craft beer. I mean, look at this art that we got here. We got the 2 Chainz jacket and chains.
Yeah.
You have a cone on a can. You have a T-Rex.
A print on one.
So can art is, these cans are also art too.
Yeah.
So
I got the blue and exile.
Exactly. And it all ties in, at the end of the day, it all ties into hip hop.
Yeah.
Because
graffiti.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Graffiti, the five pieces of hip hop.
Yeah.
They kind of go with the craft beer scene too. It kind of ties in, which that's why your podcast is. I love it,
bro. I appreciate that, man.
It all ties in together.
Yeah.
You want to drink good, eat good, while listening to good music.
Yes, dope. I agree.
So I had to come correct for this podcast with these beers. So if you're listening, you gotta come correct too when you're listening to this podcast.
Yes, and make sure you get in there with these beers. Speaking of beers, we got one more to go.
The grand finale.
The grand finale. This is the one here.
So for all you sneakerheads out there, this is a supreme of beer.
Whoa, yo. This podcast is doing big things, yo. Who would have thought? So I'm going to head and crack this one. Wow. Now I'm going to give this one the respect of a whole other glass. Yeah, I'm excited about this one because, I mean, as we'll go into it, we'll discuss it. But you mentioned a couple of interesting things about this beer before we started recording. But let's let the people know what we're drinking here. This is from the 450 North Brewing Company. It is their Slushy XL, the Superman cone. It's a sour, Berliner Weiss. So we went sour heavy here today, which is dope because it further builds my knowledge on sours. And the ABV is not listed. We'll get into it in a bit as to why. And it's brewed in Indiana. First of all, I mean, like you said, the artwork is dope. It's a print of ice cream cones, and it has a slushy in the center, or a Slurpee, what people would consider a Slurpee. This was out of Indiana. For those who have been listening to me for a while, know that Angel from Angel in the Hot Field mentioned that there was a brewery. He told a story about a brewery that they posted a certain ABV, and then later on, come to find out that the ABV they had on the cans wasn't exactly the ABV that was in the beer. So then they decided to forego the whole ABV category. You get what you get. That's pretty much it. So
that's what it is.
Okay, so Indiana 450. Tell me about this beer. What you know about this beer? Actually, no. Let's take a hit of this beer first.
Let's take a sip first. Salud.
Salud. Yes.
Does it taste like a Superman cone?
Bro.
Just like it, right?
Yes. This is a melted popsicle.
Yeah.
It has, with alcohol content, but they don't tell us what. But off the front, the smell is great. The smell is great, and it does have a melted popsicle stick taste to it, like a slushy. Now I know now you said earlier that the idea is to have this one at a point where it's as cold but not quite freezing. To really be able to enjoy it.
So you want to drink it like a slushy. So you want to freeze it to the point where it's almost a slushy. Where it has some frozen particles. Now, me personally, I could drink this frozen or cold.
Okay.
It tastes amazing either way.
Yeah.
But the idea is to have it like a slushy. Like when you have it at the actual place, it comes out like a slushy.
Wow. Okay. Damn. That's pretty good. That's
to touch on the story with the ABV. So they were posting their ABVs. I want to say around October, November. Someone actually tested the ABV themselves and it didn't match what they had listed. So they found that there was some sort of fault in their technique of measuring the ABVs. So instead of printing it, they don't put it anymore. Okay. And that's not permanent. That's until they're able to master it again. And they feel like they're confident enough to post it again.
Okay, got you. All right.
They admitted to their fault. They publicly admitted to it. So they're not hiding behind it. They're not denying it. They admitted it and they said rather than put it, they'd rather just perfect it and wait till they start putting it again. Yeah. But at the end of the day, the people that buy this beer are buying it for the flavor, not for the ABV. Yeah. So it's not a deciding factor when someone's trying to buy a 450 North beer. Yeah. The deciding factor is really what flavor's in it.
Mm-hmm. No, it's not until you start digging a little deeper past the surface with beers when you start even considering what the ABV. Correct. Like how long did we go buying, Coronas, Heinekens, and just grabbing it and not even considering what the gravity of it was, or the percent. Like that wasn't even a thought in our minds. I think the ABV comes into when you start maybe investing a little more money in beer, and you start trying to figure out, all right, well, how many of these do I need to drink? Correct. Before I get that feeling.
No, that's facts. Yeah, you want to know.
Yeah, exactly. Or how am I feeling this feeling without getting through this beer? Like you could be halfway through one of these 12 ounces. 12 ounces or 16. Yeah. One of these 16-ounce beers, you're halfway through and you're like, man, I'm already feeling a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that's when you start going, wait, what's the difference between this as far as the alcohol content compared to whatever I grab out of my grocer's freezer? You know what I'm saying? It's dope. This is a good one, man. And you took this trip up to Indiana, huh?
Yep. It's 16 and a half hours from Miami.
Damn. And that's when your people's come in the clutch. Like, yo.
Yep. So again, we make this process easy for you. Do you really want to drive 16 and a half hours? No, but we'll do it for you so you can taste this good beer in Miami.
I was gonna say, the beer is good. Is it a 16-hour drive good? Nah, but that's what you got Hernan for, Beer 05.
Exactly. Not only do we have all of Miami's beers, we bring you the rest of the country to you to 305. And 954. Shout out to 954.
Oh, for sure, man.
We got love for Broward, too. It's not just Miami-Dade.
The whole South Florida. Yeah, y'all know what's up. Yeah. Hey, I got to mention, I don't know if we did this on record or not, but of course, we went back to a tradition. Because being that you're Dominican, we went back to a tradition that we've kind of like, we're on and off, hot and cold about sometimes. I don't always remember. But we did a Mama Juana shot before we set it off. Shouts to Mama Juana King. Make sure you get your Mama Juana. Go to Mama Juana King I don't know if there's a .com, but there's definitely All About the Mama Juana King on IG, and there's a Mama Juana King on IG as well. Go follow them. Get yourself a bottle. He's doing things with Mama Juana that people haven't done before, involving passion fruit, which we call chinola.
Yeah.
He's done some things with different type of liquors. Typically, Mama Juana, it consists of a rum or a wine. So he's infusing it with a couple other things in there. Definitely big shouts to you, long time homie, Mama Juana King.
Yeah, shout out to Mama Juana King. That was good, bro.
Yep, see?
From one Dominican to another, you did your thing, bro. I'ma holla at you.
Dale. Yo, Brews, Beats, and Eats the podcast. We just talk beats. We just talk brews. We're going to get into beats. You want to do a 1 through 4 real quick?
1 through 4? Let's do it.
All right. So,
you do yours first?
Okay. I'll set the bar. All right. Between these 4 here, I'm going to say that the Tyrannosaurus is number 1 for me. You know what? I'm just gonna do the sours because I don't want to mix the amber with the sours. The amber I like.
Well, look, the amber we know is good, and again, we recommend it to anybody that likes amber ales.
And it's starting
Antique Alley, Three Sons Brewing, highly recommended.
Dope.
Probably one of the best ambers you can have.
Indeed. So between the sours, I'm gonna go Tyrannosaurus first. Then I'm gonna go Superman Cone 450 second, and then the 2 Trains as the third one. Boom. But with the caveat that none of these are bad. Like, they're not the sour. Some people like sour in the regards of just having something taste really sour.
Correct.
They prefer that salty sour flavor that appeases their palate more. But none of these are bad. I'm just saying that's the order that I would drink them in.
And that's the same order I would drink them in too.
Dope.
So
Excellent.
we're on the same page.
Great minds think alike.
I'm glad you said that because at the end of the day, everybody has a different palate. So what I like and what you like may not be what the next person's like. So when you read someone's reviews, just understand that that's based off their palate. Your palate may be completely different.
Take it with a grain of salt. It's Brews, Beats, and Eats the podcast. I got Hernan in with me. We're going to get into these beats as soon as we come back. Y'all stay tuned. Brews, Beats, and Eats the podcast, and we have reached the beat segment. This is where we discuss my guests' musical tastes, what's on their playlist, what they came up listening to, what releases they look forward to. Maybe we'll throw that one in there. I have a habit of saying that we're gonna talk about something, and then the conversation goes elsewhere, and I never remember to go back to what that was.
That's a good conversation. That's a good conversation.
I'm gonna blame it on the beer. Yeah, it's just the order of the segment.
The brews is controlling the beats and the eats.
Exactly. Yeah, you said it. You hit it on the head. Yo, so Hernan, what's something I could find on your playlist? What are you listening to nowadays?
As far as hip hop, I listen to a little of everything. Obviously, I'm East Coast biased. I'm from New York, so when I say that the goal is Nas and my favorite artist, my favorite group is Mobb Deep, you already know where I'm going.
Yeah. You're not gonna stray too far from that.
But I do though, because the thing with me is as far as hip hop, I'm very open minded. So obviously, I was born in New York, raised in Miami, so. Yeah, I listen to my Nas and Mobb Deeps, but Trick Guy is also one of my favorite rappers of all time.
Okay, respect.
UGK is one of my favorite groups of all time.
Okay.
Outkast is... Wu-Tang is the greatest group of all time, but if you take those 10, 12 dudes out, Outkast is the most influential rap group outside NWA.
Yeah.
And then I mess with West Coast too.
Yeah.
I love Exhibit, DPG.
Yeah.
So... I can't narrow myself down to one particular type of hip hop that I like, but my main thing is, does your music have substance, and what are you really saying? What are you saying?
Yeah. Got you. And the production too, but overall, what are you doing on the production?
Exactly.
Yeah, I have that discussion a lot of times with just all the heads that I know throughout as far as down south in the hip hop scene. Shouts to WDDH. Shouts to Orion with what they do, hip hop radio. Shouts to H, WVCC Cypher Life Radio. Check them out. Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 12 on Twitch. For those that are stuck home on quarantine, got nothing else to do, check out WVCC. Also, every week on SoundCloud, WDDH, what they do, hip hop radio. The good homie Orion. Check them out, especially if you want to get to know about South Florida's musical history. But the reason why I bring that up is because it's with these peoples that I have that discussion that it's damn, where was I going with that?
So
the sours. No,
yeah.
but you know, so the I have these discussions with them a lot of times, and we talk about the music that we find outside of here, or just the influences that the music here has for us. It's crazy to know that, like you said, Outkast being one of the most influential, even though you have a taste that's mainly focused on like East Coast music, but if you're really good, you can kind of transcend where you're from and have everybody appreciate what you do.
Of course.
Like no doubt.
And Outkast is the epitome of that. I mean, think about it. They won Best New Rap Group from the original Source Awards.
The Source Awards,
and they got booed in New York. And they put a whole region onto the map.
Yeah.
Because before Outkast, you had Ghetto Boy Scarface.
Yeah.
Yeah, UGK who had some respect. Yeah, he bought MGG.
Yeah.
But until Andre 3000 said the South has something to say, the South is never on the map.
Yeah, it was prophetic. That
to me, like, that is the most influential group outside of NWA. Because Wu-Tang, they will always get the credit.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang will always get the credit. First group to ever come in as a group and each get individual contracts.
Yes.
First group to do that.
Yeah.
Record sales. And I mean, what other group do you ever see people with their logo tattooed on their face?
Yeah, that's big.
Wu-Tang's Wu-Tang, so I give them their credit, but they get the credit they deserve. Outkast does not get the credit they deserve.
Yeah.
Both as lyricists, production, organized noise, and just putting the dirty South on the map. Without Outkast, there's no Trick Daddy. Without Outkast, there's no T.I., no Ludacris, no Young Jeezy.
Yeah.
The whole Atlanta scene, Young Thug, anybody from today, they need to pay homage to Outkast.
That's for sure. And
the whole Dungeon family, because Goody Mob was part of that movement too.
Yeah.
And they're one fam.
Yeah. Slim Cutter Calhoun, Cool Breeze was on there too. The Witch Doctor,
Big Gibb,
yeah.
Bubba Sparks was part of Dungeon family. Killer Mike.
Yeah. And look where Killer Mike is at now.
Future's part of Dungeon family.
He was
and
around.
People don't even know that.
Yeah.
Future has Dungeon family tattooed on his arms.
Yeah. I've heard stories where he was around a lot of the recording sessions as a youth.
Yeah. T.I. was part of that camp because he came up with Young Bloods, and Young Bloods, one of them is Andre 3000's cousins.
Yeah.
So Outkast does not get the respect they deserve.
Yeah.
I don't care how many records they sold, they do not get the respect they deserve.
Yes. Yeah. No, well, we give them respect here at this podcast.
Oh, we're talking about real hip hop, though, right?
No, I mean, I think Outkast was probably the first. Yeah, now that we talk about it, I think AT Aliens was the first Southern-based act CD that I bought. I think the only one I probably would have bought besides that was Society.
Okay.
But that was the solo effort from down here. But he's like South
But
Florida.
you were down in Miami. That's Slip and Slide. That's Slip and Slide.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as far as like major release Southern, it was
Outkast.
That was it. Yeah.
Once Outkast blew up, the South blew up with them because they brought everybody with them.
Yeah, no, and it inspired. Well, it opened, like you said, it opened up doors because that doesn't mean or doesn't go without saying that we didn't have our acts here. Like there was cats down here doing their thing. Like I said, Society, Those Funky Bastards. Uncle Luke on the bigger scale of thing. But I'm talking about the younger cats or the cats that were a little less known, like the local
Mark.
dudes. Yeah, eventually that drew the attention in this direction.
Yep.
Along with Luke. And that opened up doors for the people down here to pop too. And then you have your Pit Bulls and your Flow Riders, your Rick Ross and whatnot. Yeah. But definitely opened up the door. No, you cannot deny Outkast's presence in the game and just in their influence in the South for sure.
I hope COVID taught Andre 3000 Big Boy that we need an Outkast album. We need an Outkast album.
Yeah, that would be right about now. I mean, if we're gonna talk about people who are putting out projects, like bringing back groups and doing and being successful, or people at a later stage in their career making music and like flourishing from the success. Like you mentioned Killer Mike, like Run the Jewels right now
Run the Jewels is killing it.
Before now, how often did you hear about a group or an individual artist that came in at some point, made noise, and stayed making music, didn't have that spotlight, and then years down, like into their the age of, well, you won't make it in rap no more because you're too old, and crush that and like move past that and put out the quality of work that
that's
they do.
That's a perfect marriage because LP was in the same position.
Yeah,
both are dropping quality, and like I hate that I slept on LP for so long, but I was heavy on Killer Mike.
Okay. I think for most people, sleeping on LP was by virtue of, because LP was really underground.
No, like, definitely, really.
It was very underground. Really. And then the sound wasn't even close to what most people were used to hearing. Like all of us, when we get into hip hop, your first source is, and not the best source, but your first source of some type of semblance of rap or hip hop is the radio.
Of course.
So regardless of the quality of the music on the radio, that's a whole other topic. But that's your first source. So that's your building block. You kind of hear something and you figure out, okay, this is something that captivates me. It's interesting to me. And then as you go on, you start finding out through your own research, which became easier. Like we discussed earlier, it became easier to get a hold of certain things, whether it was through sharing sites, Napster, whatever.
Shout out to LimeWire.
Yeah, exactly. Many have burned CDs later.
Shout out to LimeWire. You made me mad money in high school.
Yeah, the hustle don't stop. So then you start finding out. It starts bringing it a little closer. And you start finding out about different ones, and then you start better forming your opinion or your taste for music.
Correct.
Because you're a big fan of Mobb Deep. Like, how often was Mobb Deep on the radio? But
never.
Exactly. But you know that's what you found it, and that's what you gravitated to. It's wild, man. And then these cats are coming back, and there's a resurgence in their career, which that was only like for most artists that did that, and I'm talking about like mainstream, like let's say Madonna or Prince or whatever, Michael Jackson. There was a reinvention.
Of course, yeah.
And that's what kept them relevant.
Yep.
You don't have to do that no more.
Nope.
It's like now you just keep doing what you do, but people are now finding their way to you. And as long as you make dope music, man, it's wild, yo. I mean, dope.
No, but like the truly legendary hip hop artists, they do find a way to reinvent themselves. Some, like, even if it's not like in a major way, they find a way to reinvent themselves. That's what worked for Run the Jewels. They LP took an aspect from Killer Mike. You gotta be more aggressive with the rhymes, and you gotta bring a little more of that southern sound to it, make the beats a little more popping, and vice versa. LP's like, yo, Killer Mike, you gotta come my way too.
The influence they have on each other.
It's perfect. It's a perfect marriage. Marriage. Two completely different styles coming together, and boom, you got the biggest group right now.
Yeah. And it's funny because we had the pleasure of enjoying the 2 Trains from Southern Grist, and they just dropped their video for Out of Sight with featuring 2 Chainz. Yeah, man. Me myself, I'm on the older head. People know this about me. There's not a lot of the guys that come out nowadays that I'm really feeling.
Me neither.
But I realized that when, like, I never discredit any artist that makes it. Because in order for them to make it, okay, hold on, let me take a step back, because there's guys that are making it nowadays where there's no gatekeepers so they just make their way into music without anybody really checking them or telling them, yo, you need to work on this or you need to work on that. But for the guys beforehand that came in order for them to get this, but when it wasn't like when they didn't have the access to studio equipment at home, to where someone had to put them on or tell them, yo, I'm gonna bring you to the studio and then we're gonna make a song. You're gonna find that a lot of those cats, even though I didn't like them, I had to respect either their grind or that they did have talent. It's just that's not what they put out for the radio play.
Correct.
They just went with whatever was the flow. I've said it before. Nelly, I never liked Nelly, but I did learn at one point that Nelly can rhyme.
Nelly can rhyme.
He can rhyme. It's not what he gave people on the radio, but he could rhyme his ass off. And I think that was the moment where I realized, like, oh shit, a lot of these cats, even though I don't like their music, I have to give them credit, because it's not just, I mean, besides the grind, but they got into the position that they're in for a reason. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
As opposed to nowadays, there's a lot of cats that are coming up. They don't have the same grind, but they have access.
Yep.
And they can go out there and they can put a song out there, do something viral, and then everybody's going to tune in. and then it's now it's gone beyond the music. It's more of the character.
Yep.
And then people become a fan of the character. The music is secondary, but they like the character. So then they ride to the music, and then that's where it gets dangerous.
Yep.
Like, yo, we're giving this person props.
No, definitely. And I feel that's the biggest difference between hip hop today and what hip hop was in the golden era of the 90s and the early 2000s. So 90s, early 2000s, you don't have the internet to blow yourself up.
Yep.
You don't have SoundCloud, none of that. So what you have to do, now you got to battle cats on the street and get heard by somebody.
Yep.
Or make your demo tape and pass them around. Now, an A&R here's your demo tape. All right, this cat's dope. Let's bring him in, and we're going to have him battle someone from our label. Oh, you beat him? All right, cool. Now we're going to put you on the circuit. What's the circuit? Oh, you're from New York? All right, you got to perform in Virginia. You got to perform in D.C. You got to perform in Philly.
In front of nobody, pretty much.
Well, not only in front of nobody, but whatever you're rapping is a crowd you're going to bring in. So if you're rapping all the street stuff, like, oh, I'm a shooter, I sell drugs and all that, you know what you're going to have in your shows? You're going to have shooters and drug dealers.
Yeah.
And if they sense that you're faking the funk, they're going to check you. You might walk out there with no jewelry on.
That's a solid point. That is.
You're going to walk out with no jewelry on, possibly no career. Or you might get deaded. Who knows?
Yeah.
If you're a backpack rapper, who's going to show up to your shows? Backpack rapper type dudes that want to hear your bars.
And they're most likely to challenge you on some bar shit.
Exactly.
Too.
So nowadays, you don't got to do none of that. Nowadays, you pop off on Instagram, you pop off on SoundCloud, talking whatever you want, and then you get a random show here and there, and that's it.
Yeah.
Back in the day, like, whoever showed up to your show reflected your music.
Yes.
And if they showed up, they're expecting you to be what you're talking about.
Solid point. Yeah. Yes. It's so
And
true.
once you proved yourself, then you get the record deal.
Yeah.
And now you're dropping albums and working on an actual album instead of a 5-track mixtape where you only got to drop 2-3 songs that are good.
Yeah.
You actually have to drop an actual project, like an album.
Yes. Yeah.
Nowadays, you don't got to do none of that. Like, it's a gift and a curse.
It's
Because
true.
the gift is you wind up getting someone like J. Cole from Fayetteville and nobody may have heard of, but then you wind up with Tekashi.
I was gonna say, for every J. Cole,
Because there's nobody to check these people nowadays. I guarantee in the 90s, Tekashi talking all that and goes on the road. Two shows in, he would have tucked his tail and went right back home.
Yeah, would have rethought his whole career choice.
So that's it's a gift and a curse with technology because yes, you know, if you're a dope artist and you're from Alabama like Big Crit, or you're from Fayetteville like J. Cole, or you're Freddie Gibbs from Indiana in the middle of nowhere, you could get that exposure and you could blow up, and now we can raise, this dope artist coming from this part of the country that nobody will ever seen. But the trade-off is you do get all these whack rappers now that they get exposure off their antics and their actions on Instagram and not the quality of the music.
It's true. It's so true.
And it's a gift and a curse.
Yeah.
And
Jay-Z said it, the gift and the curse. We just didn't think that this is what it was when, it applies to everything. When you say gift and a curse, it's true.
But what happens is when your culture gets beat down so much, you don't have a gatekeeper no more.
Yeah.
So back then we had gatekeepers too. So you went to Def Jam, you had Russell Simmons checking you. And if Russell Simmons didn't check you, LL Cool J was part of that record label and he's going to check you. Red and Meth are going to check you.
Yeah.
All these artists will check you because they took the art form serious.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it's no longer an art form.
And you represent you would be part of that conglomerate.
That Def Jam family, so they're not gonna let a whack rapper come in and rep that label, and make the rest of us look bad.
Yeah.
So I feel like the culture's gotten beat down, and now with social media, the beat down's even worse. To where it's an oversaturated market where you have more rappers and you have fans now.
Damn, that's a solid point.
Anybody could be a rapper now. I could go grab a mic right now, drop a hot 16. It may not be hot. I can't rap. It's gonna be the worst 16 ever from me. But I'll be rapping about beer and plátanos. And who knows? I could blow up somewhere.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier too, if someone makes it, you can't knock them either because that means they have an audience somewhere. So that means their talent did reflect to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's where, like, I think Young Thug's the worst rapper ever. But he has an audience. I'm not gonna knock him. All these other guys, all these young rappers, a lot of them aren't really that good, but they're able to build an audience. And you can't knock them because they're also hustling on these social media sites. They're using their platform to gain more fans, and you can't knock that either. But at the end of the day, there's more bad music now coming out.
The one thing that does stand out, though, you can't really knock them, but you could only hope that they understand, and I think some of them do, that what they're doing and how they're going about it only lasts so long. So don't put all, and a lot of them don't put all their eggs in the hip hop or the rap basket.
Exactly.
That'd be the worst mistake they ever make.
Yep.
So because they do that, what they put out is not. There's no longevity to it. There's no staying power.
It's in the moment, records.
It's in the moment. So what happens is like, and I think that's why you find a lot of young cats now are walking around using hip hop as a platform or as a stepping stone into other things, and which to the purists like me, that's the worst thing, because if you're coming in and you're gonna make money off of the art that was created from nothing, the stuff that kind of in a sense raised me and in some sense kind of made me or gave me the mentality that I do. You're not supposed to chip away at that.
Exactly.
That should stand strong no matter what. You're not supposed to chip away and then bounce and let the place fall behind you after you got yours. You know what I'm saying? And that happens a lot nowadays, even to the point where cats is saying, "But I'm not a rapper." You know, a lot of times people, when I talk to hip hop about people, and they mention people like, and I'm gonna say, like Post Malone, and they're like, oh. We're talking about rap or hip hop, and he talks, and somebody was like, "Oh, I like Post Malone," and I was like, "That's fine, but that's not the conversation we're having, because he's not hip hop." They'll put him under the category, but even that's wrong, because especially when the artist himself tells you, "No, I'm not hip hop. I just make music," but you're taking elements of the culture. And then you start wondering, it's like, is this culture? Well, I know the culture vulture thing is real, but it's like, man, now it's like you said, there's no gatekeeper, so there's no one to even say, hey, you guys are raping what you're becoming successful off of something that was started as a necessity, and it grew global, and now you're just having your way with it and then taking off. You know what I'm saying? The Miley Cyrus with the Migos, it's a gift and a curse. The Migos get a chance to do a song with Miley Cyrus, so they get to tap into into her demographic, and vice versa. But ultimately, you're just doing that for the paycheck, because it doesn't benefit the foundation. And when you start doing that, you're like, you're taking away from it, and then you don't. The last thing I want is for this hip hop shit to crumble. Now you do have cats making music that are impeccable MCs. Like talented beyond years, and they're pumping out music like if a label was pushing them. They're doing their own thing. You just hope that it stays balanced. Ultimately, that's what it's about. It's about balance. You
beat me to the punch with the culture vultures. I think that's what brought hip hop down, because like if you think about like the early '90s, you had a lot of grassroots type of artists. Like you had the Brand Nubians. You had the Tribe Called Quest. Rappers speaking knowledge. You had your gangster shit with NWA. You got your gangster shit coming up with Mobb Deep and Wu-Tang, which isn't really gangster. They're just telling you reality rap, like what's going on in our neighborhoods. You got your Ice Cubes. So you have these different types of art, and then you got Eazy-E getting taken out. Now you don't have like that mogul on the West Coast that's gonna keep it true, because he was keeping it true, The
artists that he was putting out, I mean, before Bone Thugs, he had Blood of Abraham, which was two white boys. And the music that they made, it's like that was the last thing you were expecting from someone.
Straight boom bap rap from some white boys.
And being pushed by someone on the West Coast.
Exactly.
He had early Black Eyed Peas, but before they were Black Eyed Peas, he had them again. Like that's something that's not typical for a West Coast. but he saw the talent in these people.
No,
you know what I'm
he
saying?
had the vision, but I feel he had too much power too. He had too much money.
Yeah.
Because he owned Dr. Dre, even on Death Row, he owned Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
He had the hardest diss line ever. Dre Day means Eazy's payday.
Yes.
Every time Dre Day gets played, dissing Eazy, he's getting paid.
So regardless, even if it's this, yes.
Come on,
that's true.
That's hard.
That's true.
You're dissing me, but I'm getting paid.
For it. Yeah. So even when you're against me, you're helping me.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I feel like at that, like the mid '90s was like a breaking point where like I feel like the vultures saw the money that's being made in hip hop, and we need to break into this, but we can't let them stay united.
Yeah.
So that's why you see all these artists getting raped from like the mid '90s to 2000s.
Yeah.
Getting these terrible contracts, and at the end, yo, we gotta go get our own.
Yeah. Shit. Even nowadays, it's crazy. That's another thing that trips me out is that as far as we've come along, and as many people as we, and when I say we, I'm talking about hip hop, but as many people that hip hop.
Well, it is we because hip hop is the streets, hip hop's minorities,
Yes.
hip hop's a voice for the unheard.
Yes.
That's what it's meant to be.
Exactly.
And it's not that no more.
Yeah.
So because of culture vultures, they're pushing taking pills, doing drugs. We used to brag about making money from selling drugs. Mm-hmm. I don't condone that.
Yeah.
No, maybe in a past life I would have, but right now I don't.
Yeah.
But back then we used to talk about selling drugs. Nowadays you rap about doing drugs.
Yeah.
And it's like you could brag about getting shot now.
Yeah, that wasn't the thing you talked about. If you got shot,
and now we got an active snitch out here rapping.
Yeah.
So
and people embracing them with open arms.
The culture has already been broken. That's been a 20-year process, and now that's why hip hop is where it's at right now.
Yeah.
Like hip hop was meant to be our voice. Like right now, like Lil Baby put out a song about like everything is happening right now. That's a new rapper, Lil Baby.
Okay.
And that song is dope. You don't hear it nowhere on the radio.
Wow.
He's talking about social injustice. He's talking about, he raps about violence, but he needs to start rapping about more positivity stuff. Mm-hmm. But when it's a positive message like that, you will never get on the radio.
And that's where I was getting to with the we've been at this long enough. We've seen people come up and make a boatload of money. And I'm talking about the rappers themselves.
Yeah. And
put themselves in position of power. Yet we still find ourselves in a place where you don't find songs like that on the radio. If Jay-Z's where he's at, billionaire, if Diddy's gonna sit there and talk about black excellence, yo, you guys were in the industry. You own record labels. Why are we still kind of playing by the rules of mainstream media, which is, we're gonna keep pumping that nonsense out to you? Like, why is that still happening? Why isn't? Which I understand. One of the things we keep talking about on this episode is balance, and I understand the need for balance, and I understand that there's still gonna be room for those stories about crime, those stories about sipping lean or whatever, but you gotta balance that out with a story of, like you said, like Lil Baby talking about social justice. Like, there's music that I hear that I'm like, this could get played on the radio, but it'll never be on the radio because it's too powerful. Like, it's too empowering, I should say.
Exactly.
And I think that right now, for the success that people have found themselves in at this point in the life of hip hop, I don't see why that's still an issue where we cannot get a good blend of music on the radio.
Again, that comes down to the culture vultures. Like, someone with Diddy has the power to run a label where they don't jerk artists. But what does Bad Boy do? Every artist that signs to Bad Boy, their career dies. Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Why is that? Because Diddy's too busy charging them to put his car in their videos.
Exactly. J. Cole was signed to Rock Nation. J. Cole's biggest success was when his Rock Nation deal ended. And Jay-Z's supposed to be this guy that looks out for his people, but why is he not signing artists to non-jerk deals? You could go on and on. Like, everybody in this industry is not doing what they're supposed to. The big boys like the Jay-Z's, the Diddy's, the Dre's, they should be on the forefront, signing all these talented artists and getting them deals where, hey, we're not going to jerk you.
We're going to push you.
If you make good music, we're going to push you. Make bad music, we're going to drop you. It goes both ways. But not, we need you to push this topic.
Gotcha.
If you're rapping about doing drugs, if you're rapping about selling drugs, we're going to push you. Mm-hmm. If you're rapping about black and Latino unity, if you're talking about like Stick One and M1 from Dead Prez, rapping about you made a healthy hip hop album. about working out, eating healthy foods.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Yeah.
You're telling me rappers like Talib Kweli and Mos Def lost their talent?
Yeah.
You're telling me all these KRS-One lost his talent? I just saw KRS last year performing. Probably one of the best performers I've ever seen. You're telling me he lost his talent? No. All these cats are being pushed out. And they're bringing in all these other rappers that are willing to talk about what they want and push an agenda.
They fit the narrative.
They push the agenda, and hey, we'll reward you with all these monetary deals with Gucci and Prada and LV, all these companies that we need them to make money. And so if you, push your own brand.
Yeah.
They don't want that.
Yeah. That's wild. It's something else.
If you look at the bigger picture, at the end of the day, like hip hop was supposed to be the music that spoke for the people, and that voice got taken away from hip hop, and now it's speaking towards the corporate world.
Yes.
Go buy a Rollie.
We're
go
sharing,
spend your money.
We're sharing their message.
Exactly.
We're putting it now. We're responsible.
We're
for
there.
pushing,
exactly. Yeah. We're advertising for them.
Yeah. It used to be the voice of the underprivileged, the people that didn't have nothing. Now we're the voice of the corporate world.
You think someone like Chuck D will lose that talent? No.
No.
Public Enemy.
They just did a Fight the Power 2020.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You tell me Black Dot, The Roots, they're losing talent. Why is their music not being played? There's a reason behind it.
Yeah, definitely. We could go on for hours about all this.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I was excited about the beats.
This was a hell of a discussion, man. I appreciate it. I always find joy in being able to sit down and bounce ideas like this off of somebody else. Yo, dope. But we do have a whole other segment left in this podcast. It's called Brews, Beats, and Eats.
We're gonna eat.
For a reason. Yes, sir. We got Hernan in the house. It's Brews, Beats, and Eats. Y'all stay tuned. Brews, Beats, and Eats, the podcast, and we have made it to the final segment. Yo, Dominicans understand baseball references, and this is where I say we're rounding third, and we're coming home.
Vamos a anotar.
Así mismo. Yo, put it on the scoreboard. I usually don't do this, but I do want to say that we did crack a fifth beer. We did get into, we're about to get into another Three Sons exclusive. It's their Tropical Acres, and it's a sour, since we've been doing the sour thing, and it's a passion fruit and guava. So this is the first time that Hernan has had this beer. This is the one that I'm springing on him. Real quick before we get into food, give me your thoughts on that one.
The fact that it has guava and I like it says it all.
Oh, because you're not a big guava fan?
I am not a guava fan at all. And the fact that this tastes good says a lot.
Wow. So they got one. They got one.
Three Sons, you got another one.
Yo, dope.
Hit up DJ Khaled because y'all got another one.
Yeah, South Florida. Yo, so each segment, for those who are tuning in for the first time and you've been riding with us this long, thank you so much. This is where I get into my guests' food taste. What they like, what they don't like, what they can't live without, what a typical food day would look like for them, so on and so forth. So, Hernan, what's that one food you can't live without?
I can't live without Dominican food, man.
That's
any of it. Mangú, mofongo, el loco habichuela, plátano frito, tostones. Yo, Dominican food, I need that in my life. But besides Dominican food,
that's Brews, Beats, and Eats. We're done. We covered everything.
Besides Dominican food, I need a good steak in my life. A nice ribeye or New York style.
Okay, what temperature you take that at?
I hope y'all don't judge me, but medium well.
No, that's it. That's classic.
Some people say medium well is overcooked.
We disappoint, me and you, because that's how I have my steak.
We good though. We good. Medium well.
But a lot of people, like you said, they'll look upon us with judgment, like heavy judgment, like you just ruined that steak. Now, granted, I came from an era where it was like everything was only done well.
Yeah,
everything
no,
was
my
well.
family's everything well done. Everything's well done.
Yeah, you know, if it's bleeding, it's not. It's still alive.
No quiero el animal vivo.
Exactly.
That's what they would tell me.
Yeah.
I don't want it alive. I want it dead.
Yeah, but then when you start learning about the fact that the more time you spend, your steak spends on a grill, and the carcinogens that you get from the front, and then you're like, all right, I gotta back off a little bit. I'm still not quite at the point where it's like running blood. I don't think I could ever get to that. Nah,
medium well is good enough for me. Pink in the middle, brown on the outside.
My peoples, you don't have to go with the runny, bloody steak if you season it well.
That's true.
If you could capture a moisture without it bleeding in front of your plate. I'm just saying.
Yeah, learn how to season your meats.
Yeah, exactly. So a steak. So you're big on steaks. What's something you would pair along with that steak, like the side dish?
I mean, a baked potato would be good. Loaded potato, mashed potatoes. I mean, any type of potato goes good with a steak.
That's the starch to go.
Mac and cheese. If you got good mac and cheese.
Now, mac and cheese is not Dominicano at all. Where did you get that mac and cheese influence from?
We live in the South, right? We live in the South, so you got that mac and cheese. Shout to House of Mac. That fire mac and cheese. But, I mean, realistically, the best pairing is always going to be rice and beans.
Yeah.
Arroz con habichuela or gandules.
Yeah.
Good.
You don't see arroz con habichuela or con gandule and next to a ribeye too often at places like that.
No, definitely not. You probably see it with like a skirt steak.
Yeah, or palomilla.
Yeah,
or
but
like that.
With a steak, you either gotta go with some type of potato base, rice and beans, or even like a corn on the cob will go good with it too.
Yeah, dope. Yeah, a little veggie with
and
the steak.
And a cold beer.
For sure.
That definitely puts it over the top.
Is there a particular beer you felt that opens up a steak, the flavor of a steak?
Pilsner, lager, and IPA. You don't want to go sour, stout with that. You know, it's not the right pairing is an IPA or a Pilsner stout.
True. I know we touched on Dominican food. I think we hit the whole spectrum. So
now we have in Sancocho.
Yeah.
If you want some soup, Sancocho.
A hearty soup like the original chunky.
Yep.
I think I'm gonna say it right now on this podcast. Dominicans invented chunky soup.
We have
I could be wrong.
Dominicans, we have the best food. Like, I'm not knocking nobody else, but
I'm gonna let you make your argument. Go ahead.
Look, we got Sancocho, so the soup game's on lock. Arroz con habichuela, we make it good. If you want to go with sweets, that the habichuela thing they make, the cream.
Habichuela con dulce.
Habichuela con dulce, fire.
The fact that they made a dessert out of beans says a lot. Like, because the last thing you think when you think about beans is something sweet. You know, like that just doesn't happen. And I don't want to say that that's the only culture that's created something around, created a dessert around something. I don't want to say it's the only culture that's created something sweet out of something that's not that typically doesn't take that shape. But the one that I know, I'm like, that's habichuela con dulce. No, that's.
I'm only saying that because at the end of the day, like the Dominican Republic was like a main slave stop. So we have every type of culture in the world mixed into our dining. Like we have the Española style from our original residents, Spaniards. Yeah. We have a lot of Arabian descent. Like my family has some Arab in it. So we have a lot. That's where we get our spices and our sazones and all that. Is pretty much like a mixed match of the whole world. Yeah. So we have that uniqueness from other countries. Like Puerto Rico has some of it. Yeah. Cuba has some of it. But at the end of the day, Hispaniola was that one port where all the slaves got dropped off on. But yeah, like I think we have the best food. After that, Colombia's up there, bro. Bandeja paisas.
That's a rough.
Colombians and empanada kings. I'm sorry, Cubans, but Colombian empanadas are king. Give me a Colombian empanada with pozobon and I'll call you paise all day.
Yo, they got the empanada game smashed.
Shout out to all my paisas.
No, for sure. Where's one of the places you would find this empanada?
I mean, anywhere in Colombia, in Kendall. Kendall is basically little Colombia. I'm surrounded by Colombians.
Yeah.
You can either get, like, we got mad people from Medellin and Bogota in Kendall, so
Okay.
any fire Colombian empanada you want, you can find it in Kendall.
Yo, this episode became Kendall-y as fuck real quick. For my people who are down with podcasts, they know what's up. Shouts to WVCC. And shouts to Human Sushi too, my people's out in Kendall.
I gotta check them out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all
I
Kendall
just
based.
started venturing into sushi.
Yeah, yeah. Oh well, Human Sushi's a podcast. That has nothing to do with sushi.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It just sounded like a dope restaurant, Human Sushi. Like, yo, I'm gonna go there now.
Make sure you go to humansushibar.com.
Blame the beer. The beer has me thinking everything's food right now.
Yeah. Well, it is the right segment for it. You know? We're in the right place. A struggle I had as an American born from Dominican descent was convincing my parents that I wanted to eat something else besides Dominican food as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
So you would always try to finesse them into making you something American. What was like that one dish that you were like, yo?
I mean, anything that did not involve rice.
Okay.
But no, like, my mom always made like a really fire lasagna, so I used to always ask her for lasagna.
Okay.
And I was like, yo, for special occasions only. But I used to try to tell her, like, yo, come on, make some burgers, you know, here and there. Come on, make something in. Let's go get some pizza. Can
we get some French fries?
Yeah, some French fries.
Instead of a whole potato?
For real, like, I love rice, but damn. Yeah, I'm gonna turn to like a bag of rice, eating rice every day, rice and beans.
I'm not even from Idaho, and I feel like my thing was pancakes.
Oh yeah,
breakfast
food. Yeah,
breakfast. Dominican breakfast is a great breakfast, but after years of having the same thing, it's like, man, you want to like go.
You're right. Pancakes and French toast. That's why I always ask for it.
Yeah, so we're on the same page, we think alike. Yeah, that was like a discussion too. Was to the point where my early cooking experience came from French toast and pancakes.
Me too.
Yeah,
me
shit.
too. Me too. I'm like, yo, I know how to make every type of plátano, but yo, I want to make some French toast or some pancakes.
That was one of the early on, like, I'm gonna try this out because, like, granted, I'm a young kid. And your mom and dad are sleeping. They don't wake up as early as you do because they're not interested in watching cartoons on a Saturday morning. And them shits pop off at 7 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes 6:30 if he was trying to watch that the original claymation with Davy and Goliath. If you was trying to watch Davy and Goliath early on, then you catch that at 6:30, and then at 7 o'clock the cartoons would come on. And you don't expect them to get up that early to cook for you. So the moment that you realize that you could manage the stove, you're like, I'm gonna try to do something. And then the moment you see somebody like do a little recipe somewhere, or you hear about French toast is you scramble the eggs, drop the toast in there, and throw it on the griddle. Boom, syrup made everything, so you didn't have to worry about. So that's how I got into it, man.
Shout out to syrup because my first couple pancakes sucked.
So you were covered with
shout out to syrup.
It's kind of like barbecue sauce on burnt chicken. Like if you slip up and you're grilling chicken.
Coño, se me quemó más salsa. Mete más salsa. Métele.
Yo, do you grill much?
I love grilling.
Okay, what's the technique? Do you have a certain technique?
I mean, if I'm making wings, I try to season them the day before.
Okay.
Let them marinate overnight. Then the day of, I make them. Same thing with the steaks and ribs. Try to season them at least 24 hours before.
Yeah.
And
do you do direct heat or you because what I do sometimes is I'll set the high heat on one side and then low heat on the other side where the wings are at, and I'll let them sit there for a while. And so it's not direct heat.
Wings, that rather than sit there in low heat and let them cook a little longer, because with high heat, found the skin gets burned.
Yeah.
And you want to be a burnt wing with a raw wing on the inside.
Yeah.
Same thing with ribs. Ribs you want slow cook them.
No,
with a steak, I can do high heat because you can kind of manage it yourself, and every 4 or 5 minutes you do the flip.
Exactly. The ribs for a while there, what I was doing with ribs for time concerns, like if I was trying to whip up ribs in a short amount of time, I would boil the ribs first in ginger ale.
Oh.
I'd boil them in ginger ale for a minute just to get like the initial
cooking.
You got
my attention with that.
The initial cooking done, and then you put them out there on the flame just to get that crisp on the outside, and then you apply whatever sauce you want on it. So that's like I said, in a crunch. Like if you're trying to whip up some ribs on the fly, you know what I'm saying?
Hold on, chef. I gotta take some notes. So you said ginger ale, right?
Ginger ale, yeah, ginger ale for sure. If you ever want to freak, I haven't done this before. This is like BrewsBeats&Eats exclusive. When I start sharing like
the chef
secrets.
edition, chef edition.
It's happening. If you want to whip up like some appetizers, if you have people coming through, and you want to whip up some quick like appetizers, meatballs. You can get the packaged meatballs, whatever they sell in your freezer or whatever at the supermarket. Get yourself a bag or two of those, and get yourself a jar of marmalade and your favorite salsa, whatever you dip your chip in, whatever. Slow or not slow. Well, you could put a slow cooker too, but you could warm up the meatballs in the oven, like per the instructions on the bag, and then in un sartén, in a saucepan, in a deep saucepan, you mix your marmalade with your salsa. Dump them both in there, stir that up, simmer it up real good, and then you introduce the meatballs into that sauce. It's killer. If you have time, if you got a couple of hours, then you do that, the same style, the same thing, but inside of a slow cooker or a crock pot or whatever. If you have about 4 hours to kill, throw them in there with that sauce, and it comes out on point, bro.
So basically what you're saying is that part 2 of our episode is going to be an actual cooking show.
Yo, you know what?
So that's a sequel.
Yes, because I know them beers that you running with don't stop. I know there's going to be plenty more beers for us to get together and share again. And yeah, we might have to do something. Yo, shouts to Dre, Human Sushi. One of the complaints he had, and he continues to have, and he makes sure I know about this. He said it. He's like, yo, we had the beers. We talked about music. And matter of fact, at that point, I was playing music for people, so I played a song for them. He's like, where was the food? Like, there was no food. Dre, I hear you. So we might start changing up the format a little bit, and definitely we'll get together and we'll sample something.
Human Sushi, with that name, I was expecting it to be a sushi restaurant.
He said
so. If we have part 2, you're gonna pull up with some sushi, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta pull up with some fire sushi while we cook this fire food, and we make part 2, including Human Sushi.
I drink to that.
Cheers. Salute to Human Sushi. Come bring that sushi.
For sure. Yo, shouts to Dre. Shouts to Renee. Oldhead Ren. Yo, I know we talked a little bit about sweets. Are you a big arroz con leche, or are you more of a... habichuela con dulce, or are you arroz con,
arroz con leche?
That's the one?
I'm loyal to arroz con leche.
Yeah.
That bean soup is cool, but I don't mess with it. Arroz con leche, though, sign me up.
Yeah.
Especially they have that cinnamon stick in it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the full cinnamon stick, not like no powder.
No,
but like the one that your mom used to use, they used to choke on when you drink it. Like, yo, what is this? Like, what's the stick in the...
There's a stick in my dessert.
Yo, like, what you do with me? Like, you trying to kill me. Yeah, they have that. It's real.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Have you ever had it where they try to sneak in a little lemon zest in it too? I've had it sometimes where people...
My mom never got that exotic, so I'm happy. I'm glad that she did.
Yo, shouts to your mom.
That's about as bad. Like when it tasted that once, it's about as bad as tasting raisins in your pastelito.
Yo,
don't ever disrespect me with raisins in a pastelito. Never. Yo. Don't disrespect me like that.
Yo, there's very few things you can do to get on Hernan's bad side. Don't put them raisins
in the pastelito. Don't disrespect me like that.
You're not here for the sweet. You're here for the savory.
Exactly.
Dope, man. Yo, Hernan, man, we did a lot, yo. We talked.
Nah, if you come on this podcast, you gotta do it right.
And you did.
You gotta do it right.
You did. We talked. We got to know you. The listener got to know you. We talked a little bit of beer. I didn't want to hit them too beer heavy at the front. We talked kicks. We talked the early influences. We got into the beers. You came through with sours on sours. I appreciated all of them. And considering where I'm at now with my beer taste, I'm like, it gives me more to build on and more to be able to... and
part of the game.
It gives me more to discuss future episodes for sure. We talk music, man. We got into music. We share a lot of the same thoughts on music. and we just talk foods, man. You cook, you get down with the grill. It's Dominican all day, so we didn't have to get into too much detail. It's just Dominican food is what it is. And
we're the best. We're the best.
See, Khaled made another appearance.
We're humble though, but we're the best.
Yo, for sure. One last time, where they can find you.
So for beer, you can find me at Beer05. Beer, the letter O, 5 for your sneaker needs, streetwear needs, silver in stock. We'll make sure to include all this in the post too. So
description
so you can follow the link. But we're here for the community.
Dope.
We're here to help you out, get you whatever you need, so we can enjoy some good beer and look good with some fresh kicks.
Nice. My peoples, there it is. Brews, Beats, and Eats the podcast. As always, I'd like to thank my guests.
Only the best.
Only the best. Hernan, for taking the time, sitting down and talking it up with me. I'd like to thank you, the listener, for tuning in yet another week. As always, you can keep up with me at BrewsBeats, the letter N, Eats. Hit me up on Gmail with any thoughts, suggestions, where I should go eat, beers I should go try, what you're listening to. DM me, hit me on the IG and tell me, yo, what are you listening to, what I should be listening to, and so on and so forth. If you enjoyed what you heard, tell a friend. If you didn't enjoy it, tell an enemy, tell somebody. Let them know that they can find it on all streaming platforms. Make sure you get over to YouTube. I'm telling you, we're dropping down audio and videos. Videos once a month. If we can do them more, we'll do them more, but just subscribe. YouTube. Alright? Make sure when you get there that you hit the notification link so you stay up to date with what we're dropping. And yeah, man, streaming platforms, like I said, Google Podcasts, Apple, Spotify. I mean, anyone that's worth mentioning is where I'm at. So
he's everywhere. He's on everything.
That's it. Brews, Beats, and Eats the podcast. Peace.
This is the number one podcast as far as beers, beats, and eats. And Beer05 is the number one source for your brews in Miami and Broward. Shout out to Broward.
Indeed.
So we're going to do this. We're going to have one catchphrase. So all you have to do is when Brews, Beats, and Eats posts this video on Instagram, if you type Mofongo on the comments and like the video, you will
tag 2 people. They'll tag 2 people.
Yeah, you're right. Let
them get
tag 2 people, man.
Yeah.
Don't be greedy.
Yeah.
Put out for your friends. Look out for your friends. Tag 2 people. Hashtag Mofongo. Hashtag Brews, Beats, and Eats. And we're gonna enter you in a contest for 4 beers.
4 beers. I told
beers.
you guys, season 2's bringing new shit. All right. So what we got going on? I mentioned it earlier in the season. We're gonna do giveaways. Shouts to Hernan for coming up with the concept to begin with. So we're gonna be giving away 4 beers. So like he said, hashtag Mofongo. Tag 2 of your peoples, your beer fans, your music fans, your food fans. Let them know. Get in. We'll do this giveaway. More details to come. But yo, that's the start right there. Stay tuned. Beer05, Brews, Beats, and Eats. Y'all know what's up.